All right, guys, we're back for Supercoach 2023's round 22 review. 2 weeks left, and by God, I cannot wait to not ever have to see this team again. 2,300 the score, honestly, pretty bad for a week. You wanted at least 2,400 this week, so 23 with a lot of just shocking scores all around. I did see some people on Twitter did escape most of it. Yeah, thank God EPL's on because I need another sport to watch at this point. So, going into it, Stuart was, and if I skip over people, it's because this is the second time I've had to record it. I just spent 20 minutes on a recording, then found out my mic wasn't connected. So yeah, that's great. 69 for Tom Stewart. Not great considering I thought Collingwood were going to be a lot more attacking and the ball would live kind of forward a bit more, giving Stewart a bit more chances to do his stuff, like intercepts and his marking and, the way he plays on and everything like that. Um, didn't end up being the case. I think he actually had a pretty low disposal game, didn't he? Keep thinking it's there. In here. I mean, yeah, 18 is pretty low for him. I mean, he scored 104 and 18 against Essendon, but I guess less marks. Um, yeah, pretty disappointing from Stewart. And then go on to the next one. Dawson, I only caught the first half of this game. I did turn it off in the second half. The first half, it was all Adelaide, so I don't really understand how Adelaide lost this one. It looked like nothing could go wrong for him. It looked a bit more like it was going to be the Laird Keys Tex game over Dawson. But, obviously the second half flipped a bit and it ended up being a bit more for Dawson. Granted, I think Laird was the highest Adelaide player from that game. We'll have a look with Dawson. I think you probably do start him next year because he's just a good player. Like, he's very consistent. He's basically been 110 the whole year, I want to say. Just looking at it, only looks like 5 or 6 times he's gone under the ton. Yeah, I think Dawson's someone you probably want to think about starting next year. Depending on the price, I think his price might be pretty high next year. Day should have probably scored higher. Probably should have been in the 105 to 110 range. Just struggled with time on ground. Towards the middle section, or I'd say about the third quarter, he was traveling at about 64-65% time on ground, which just is not good for someone like him. I don't know if it's just a matter of getting stuck on the bench or if there was a little niggle or anything like that. You really don't want World Day to be your D3. But with Dacos injured, that's just how the cookie crumbles, right? Like I said, I cannot wait to never have to see this defense again because I can't stand it. This another guy. God, there's potential there. The last 2 weeks have been good games for him, and then Edridge just decides, all right, it's my turn now. It feels like it's a coin flip. Who is kind of going to play that attacking defender role for the Dogs? It's either Dale or it's Richards, and there's not really any rhyme or reason to it. It's just who gets the ball more that day. Himmelberg, Dale's 80 wasn't good, but Himmelberg had heaps of touches, and I cannot honestly tell you what stopped him from scoring so good. I'd imagine it's the clangers, right? If they showed it here, it'd probably be the clangers. Actually, I think I can have a look. Pull that up and then go there. Where are we at? Himmelberg, probably going to lead in this. No. Only one? Okay, I don't. Maybe they're all uncontested, I guess. I don't know. Maybe just not a good game for him. But yeah, he had the touches there, just didn't convert it to points. Never going to go on Himmelberg again unless he's 300k or something like that. I wouldn't touch this guy with a 10-foot pole. Chincotta 73. I mean, it covers, but I don't know. I wish it was Dacos, man. Dacos could have been huge this week. Bench didn't play. Sydney, I think, played a new guy, didn't they? I think they debuted someone, or someone's was talked about for a debut. The midfield was also kind of just up and down, man. Bont 115. Finn McGuinness killed everyone that game. Went on Libba, knocked him out, kept him to like 20. Um, Played some roles on Bont, on McRae, on Trelaw. Just kind of rotated everyone. I think Finn McGuinness is now the player that you have to avoid. So this week they've got Melbourne. Don't do it. Don't put it on Oliver. Don't put a captaincy or anything on Oliver. Maybe Petrarca, just because Petrarca will go forward, right? So you'll probably get a goal or two, which will save the score even through the tag. Speaking of Petrarca, in the other video, it was 20 minutes because it was like a 15-minute rant about the score review system. I'll try not to go that far into it, but I thought it was just a embarrassment what happened, right? So I think it's touched. I thought it wasn't touched, I should say. Um, the process of the umpire calling it, saying his call is touched, but he'd like a review to see if it wasn't. That's fine. That's cool. First time you look at it, you probably do think, oh yeah, you got a fist up. I think the review was absolutely just handled terribly. Um, the fact that it's millions of dollars worth of technology, like when you think about it, right? Millions, because it goes every ground, every post, multiple of them. They're not HD. They're not 4K like other sports are doing. We don't have all the angles. We can't tell on the line. The spot it is closest to, we cannot tell what's happening on the line. And the fact that they only spent like 30 seconds on it when it's a season defining, top four defining, home finals defining, game deciding call. And they just went, oh, yep, no, insufficient. Let's keep going. I think that's just embarrassing. Um, would Melbourne fans or Carlton fans, if it was touched, it wouldn't matter how long it takes to review because it was touched. Melbourne fans want it to give me every single angle to tell me that it went through or didn't go through untouched. I think it was an embarrassment from the AFL to do it like that. Again, I don't think it's the umpire's fault because calling it touched in the moment is probably the correct play, and it's probably something I'd do the same. But the review itself is so bad, and it's been highlighted so many times this year, the incapacity of this very expensive system to do nothing. It all just goes back to umpire's call. And if that's the case, get rid of it. Right? So like that there's nothing that people can go, oh, but I want a review of that. If it's not there, then you can't ask for it. The fact that it's there, now people want it, and it's not working. Upgrade it 10 times more, make it 4K, give me every angle you could possibly have. Put it on, I don't care where it is. Just I want every angle of at least the goal line, right? Like we're not talking about 30 meters out, right? We're talking about the goal line. You look at the Women's World Cup, which go Matildas, but like the Sweden, was it Sweden? The like 0.1 of a millimeter for the ball. Like they could tell that, but we can't tell whether a fist, a full grown man's fist, hit the ball. Like it's insane. I think it's the worst system in all of professional sport at the moment. Either remove it or make it 10 times better. But yeah, again, I went like 5-10 minutes on that. Zach Merritt, 96, got tagged for most of the game, so that's what kept the score down. Expected a lot better. It was against North. He is a guy that usually does score pretty well against North, but yeah, just not this time. Laird kind of went on this game before. Didn't watch the second half, but the first half, Adelaide were dominant, which was surprising given it was at the Gabba, and Adelaide aren't really a travelling team. There's The diehard Brisbane fan cannot have any confidence in this team at all. Almost lost to Freo, almost lost to Adelaide away, Adelaide at home, but Adelaide's away. Um, yeah, I don't know. You've got to have no confidence in this team at all. Once it hits, who have they got this week? Have they got a real team this week? Collingwood. Yeah, I feel like they're going to get smashed. And that's at Marvel. I'd put that at the MCG. I'd go MCG, Marvel. Like, yes, that's a decision from the AFL. That's blimey, that's a decision that would probably pack out, because it's a top four, could be first week of finals type of game. Yeah, Adelaide, Melbourne, ugh, Brisbane looked terrible. Brayshaw didn't look terrible. Obviously, 102 is not bad. He probably had his touches still. Did get tagged by Xavier O'Neill. But my thoughts on Xavier O'Neill, he's probably not an AFL player. Like, he's not at the level to play AFL. And that whole game shouldn't have been broadcasted. That's how bad it was. The skill, a team won by 100 points and looked bad. The team that lost by 100 points looked embarrassing. I think it should have been taken off TV, and AFL should send a letter to both teams saying, pick up the game. Come on. Freo looked horrible. They didn't look good, and they scored 134. Anyone else beats Freo by 60 that day. They're just up against probably the worst team ever assembled in football. And I don't want to hear about injuries and age and anything like that. The worst team ever assembled. A coach, a list manager, their job is to put a team on the field that can compete. If you're going to lose every game, you should at least compete. They've only competed in 4 games this year, and they've won 2 of them. They're not competing. I'm not going into it. I could go on a whole hour on West Coast, I reckon. Tell me if you want to see that. Dunkley Neal, and then Mills is never again. So he's just too much of a utility player. So Horse just chucks him around anywhere. Not the player you want in Supercoach. So next year, he's probably going to be pretty discounted. I wouldn't start him, but maybe as a first upgrade, like a upgrade, kind of what people did with Siebel this year and everything like that, and Day. Just bring him in and probably make a bit of cash and then trade him out at the buys. I could see that, but I wouldn't start him. I think there's just too much risk there. Matthew Johnson, 89. It's pretty big for him. End up scoring 9 more than premium Mills. Johnson's actually dropped a fair bit in price, huh? He was 300 something K at one point. 324. Yeah, looks like 324 was his max. He's dropped about 60K. The rucks were both good. I mean, English was good. The crazy decision to put him on a kick in at the end was, I don't know, that was intentionally trying to lose. I don't know what that was. And then Marshall just dominated Richmond. I think Nankervis was in. You had Soldo, who's usually pretty good at limiting a score, but Saints just steamrolled them. It wasn't even close. The scoreline's close just because St Kilda aren't that good. Max King, I still think isn't that guy. If he's your star forward, I think that your team is really limited in how far it can go. But yeah, I don't know, Saints wasn't even close. Then you got Goulden in the forwards, who it wasn't a great game from him. How did he go stats-wise? Stats don't tell the whole story, but I mean, under 20 touches when you look at the last couple of weeks is pretty bad from him. 8 tackles, probably saved the score. And then no impact on the scoreboard. Yeah, I don't know, just an off week. Then you got the Port duo. Both of them are just excellent players. Fun to watch. Butters, I prefer of the two, but Rosie is still like a amazing top. I mean, they're the best young duo in the AFL. In terms of a pure midfield, if you go and just overall young duo, you probably do go with the Dacosses. But in terms of a midfield duo, you probably have to take the Port one. Canelio, this is a pick that you never have to worry about ever again because he's not going to have forward next year. He's going to be pure midfielder. He's going to be overpriced. Never again. Branto. So I talked about this in the last recording of this. Since his bye, he's only scored over the ton once. Pre-bye, he's only missed it twice. A absolute huge shift. I don't know what it is. I haven't seen too much different in the way he's playing. It's just not translating. I mean, Richmond have been worse, right? Like they played worse post bye. But I don't know. I don't know what it is. You probably don't start him next year. Just off the second half of the year, you probably could start him. You could get away with it, but 109, so he's going to be priced pretty high. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't touch it. And then Keys, 2 goals, almost 20 touches. I think he had 19. Yeah, 19, 2 goals. Could have had 3. I wish they played him more in the midfield. Yeah, it is what it is. That's about it in terms of scores. Now for captaincy, I think I landed on. What did I go with? Probably go Stewart into Bont. I wouldn't touch anyone. I mean, depends who you've got. If you're a guy that likes 140 or 80, probably Dunkley I'd go with. I don't like that. I like just being able to take a vice captain score if it's high enough. Richmond North, wouldn't touch anyone. Haven't got anyone. You could probably go Merritt. I mean, it's a big game for Essendon. Big game. Yeah, I might go just Stewart into Bont. I think that's what I'll just stick with. But yeah, let me know how your guys' teams went this week. I'll see you all next week. There will be 2 videos left of this season, thank God. And then we'll probably be looking at other types of content because I don't want the channel to die again for 8 months until Supercoach reopens. Yeah, see you all next week. Tasty out.